come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1058, Kirkpatrick versus Kirkpatrick.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, you and your wife, ex-wife, were married for a short period of time, and you have one child together.
Correct, Your Honor.
The marriage was short-lived, and based upon what I read, for a period of time, your son is now 10?
Yes, Your Honor.
For a period of time after you divorced, and you were divorced or separated after about a year of marriage,
Correct.
you shared custody of him.
Correct, Your Honor.
But then at some point, a couple of years ago, that changed, and you have now full custody of him. He stays with you all the time, with the exception of periods of time when he visits with his mother.
Correct, Your Honor.
Is that okay? You say no. He's 10 years old. Does he go to public school? You don't shake your head.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what grade is he in?
He's in 5th grade.
From whose house does he go to school every day?
His house in DeLand.
His house.
Yes.
All right. And what does he do for the summer? No, what does he do for the summer?
Well, I had put him in summer programs until COVID happened, and we didn't do that. But that's what I had him going to.
And where does he sleep during the summer?
And at my house in his room.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, then he has custody of him. He has physical custody of him. Well, he does.
I'm sorry.
Well, but he does. If he goes to school from his house every day, and if he sleeps at his house during the summer, then he may not have full legal custody of him. That may not have been decided by a court, but he has physical custody of him.
May I?
What?
There is a court hearing coming up September 21st of next month where I have filed with the Volusia County court system in Florida the contempt because he has been withholding Titan from me.
Listen, I don't want to hear.
We have 50-50.
He has been living with his father. Did he go to school from his father's house in the 4th grade? That's either a yes or a no. That's either a yes or a no. Did he go to his father's house in the 4th grade?
Yes, but
that was 2020. I don't know if school is open now where you live. Is it?
It is now.
When did it open?
This was the first week of school, actually.
Okay. So he's going to school from your house this year, 2021.
Yes, Your Honor.
In 2019 was when you say he came to live with you full time. In what month?
July, Your Honor.
In September of 2019, did he go to school from your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
October, November.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may have a hearing coming up, Ms. Kirkpatrick, but for the last 2 years, his father has had physical custody of him for the majority of the time. So you can shake your head all you like. That's it. And I don't have to get into the reasons for it, but his father has had physical custody of him. This is what this case is about. On Mother's Day this past year, according to the complaint, you brought your son over to visit with his mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
By the way, are you employed, sir?
I am, Your Honor, yes.
And aside from your son, who do you live with?
Just myself.
Does someone take care of him when you're not after school while you're working?
Either he'll come with me and be at the office, or I have it so that he's home. He's almost 11, and that's why I have him have a phone so that if he needs to call me or there's an emergency, he can call me, which there never is. But
what kind of work do you do?
I'm a marketing consultant. I do advertising for a local newspaper.
And Ms. Kirkpatrick, what do you do for a living?
I'm a homemaker, and I also do outdoor tree work with my boyfriend as self-employed.
You're a homemaker. Do you have other children?
No, Titan is my only.
You mean you stay home?
I was a stay-at-home mom until he took that away from me.
Okay, we're talking about 2.5 years ago. I'm asking you what you do now.
Yes, I'm a homemaker.
Okay, you don't have a child.
Self-employed.
Oh, you're self-employed. And where do you live?
In De Leon Springs, Florida.
Where? House?
Yes, it's a house.
Who do you live with?
My grandmother.
It's her house?
Yes, it's her house.
How long have you been living there?
Since 2017, end of 2017.
Your Honor, may I interject just quickly?
What?
It's not actually her grandmother's house. She rents, and she doesn't live in the house. Barry lives in the detached garage of the house.
Her grandmother rents the house?
Yes, Your Honor. It's not her house.
Do you live inside the house or in the garage?
It's an apartment. It's not an actual garage. Yes, I live in the detached unit.
Describe it to me.
It's fully remodeled, renovated. Looks like a nice apartment inside.
Has a bathroom, shower?
No, I have no running water yet. But if I shower, it's inside.
You go into your grandmother's house.
Right.
So that it has no running water.
Correct.
I don't know quite how to say this to you without sounding harsh. He works and takes care of a 10-year-old full-time. You do nothing. Being a homemaker without children and without a husband, it means you take care of yourself.
William Kirkpatrick claims his ex-wife, Barry Kirkpatrick, invaded his privacy and disabled his phone.
Do you live inside the house or in the garage?
It's an apartment. It's not an actual garage. Yes, I live in the detached unit.
Describe it to me.
It's fully remodeled, renovated. Looks like a nice apartment inside.
Has a bathroom, shower?
No, I have no running water yet. But if I shower, it's inside.
You go into your grandmother's house.
Right.
So that it has no running water.
Correct.
And you live there with your boyfriend?
He lives with, yeah.
That's him.
Yes, that.
On Mother's Day weekend, you dropped your son off to visit with his mother.
Yes.
For the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, or just Sunday?
He was actually there for a week because she wanted him to stay longer.
While he was there, you had given him a phone
Yes, Your Honor.
to have. And according to you, the phone was returned with your son, but in a disabled condition, so
Yeah,
that
that's right.
you could no longer use it because his mother had put a tracker on the phone.
Yes, Your Honor. She had put a parenting application on it, like a parental lock, that only she could allow things to happen. She had set up a passcode with a Gmail account that only she knew. In addition to that, she also did put a tracking app on it so that she could monitor it as long as it's on in real time.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you buy the phone?
No.
You want to explain to me why you modified the phone?
Yes. I had no knowledge that Titan had a phone.
Okay.
So when my son came to visit on Mother's Day weekend, while he was with my grandmother, I heard a jingle go off, and the jingle was coming from his book bag. So I pulled out the phone, and it was a bedtime alarm that had went off, and so I just turned it off. And when I turned it off, I was surprised that Titan had a phone because I was told that he didn't, because I have been wanting to buy him a phone with a working number.
Whatever.
And
Let's move on. You found a phone, so you knew his father had
yes,
bought a phone for him,
yes.
and he had it, and that you hadn't purchased it. And so what did you do?
Well, I went through the phone.
Why?
I'm his mother, and
First of all, you
was
had no
his
knowledge whether it was his phone or his father's phone.
I had Dragon Ball Z wallpaper on it with Titan's name all over it.
That's okay. I have a picture of my deceased dog on my phone as my wallpaper. So you went through the phone.
Yes.
Did you need a passcode in order to go through the phone?
No. There was no lock on it.
Okay. So you went through the phone, and
I found that I was not listed as a contact in the phone. He and his girlfriend only were contacts in the phone, and messaging was only taking place through him and his girlfriend. And I also checked the browser history of the phone as well. And I have some things that I would like to share with you,
absolutely.
which is why I put it's called Family Link. It's a parental lock for the safety of your child.
How did you, Mrs. Kirkpatrick, how did you communicate with your former husband about him dropping off your son and picking him up? Was that by phone or text?
Mostly by text.
Okay. And so you have a phone,
I have one, yes.
and he has one.
Yes.
Well, is there any reason why you didn't contact your former husband, since he had acquiesced to bringing your son to you for the weekend on Mother's Day? Is there any reason why you didn't contact him and said, I found this phone that I assume you bought for Titan? Titan?
Titan, Your Honor.
I'm not listed as a contact.
Right.
You know, is there any reason why you didn't do that?
Well, yeah.
What's the reason?
No, I don't know the reason. He never said.
No, what's the reason you didn't call him?
Oh,
Text
I told
him
him.
and say, I found a phone. I didn't know that Titan had a phone. I want to be listed as a contact. She wants to show me something that she's going to say explains why she took control of this phone. So I'd like to take a look at it.
Your Honor, may I add something quickly?
No. First, I want to look at this, and then I'll ask you questions.
Sorry.
Don't give me a whole bunch of stuff that's meaningless. I don't want to read stuff that's meaningless. What is this picture of?
That is a picture from Titan that he took a picture of himself sending to his dad stating that he still wasn't feeling well, that he wants to go to the doctor.
I see that. I see that. I still think that, yeah, can I delete Prime Video for space? If I don't, won't be able to play any more games because of the lounge. I can't play games. What is, I don't know what this is. It's nothing. Titan bedtime in 10 minutes. I'll be home soon. Sleep in your bed tonight. Well, so far, the only thing that would be troublesome to me for a kid, these things. Okay, so is it your son who's doing all this cursing, sir?
Unfortunately, it's a little side effect he picked up from public school.
Yeah, you know. He seems to be, well, first I'm going to show this to you. This is what his mother said she found on the phone.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something that I should have been probably told about. I didn't know. I had no idea that was on there.
Okay, and you have a girlfriend whose name is Holly?
Correct.
Okay. And I assume that there's a little bit of sometimes tension with Titan and Holly?
No, not at all.
Okay. There was some suggestion there about sleeping in the same bed with her.
My son?
Yeah, there's something about the bed isn't big enough for three.
Oh, because he still likes to crawl in sometimes into my bed, even though he has his own room and bed and everything. And I was like, Titan, you need to go sleep in your room. I was trying to play around with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So those things came off the phone.
Mm-hmm. That's disturbing. That is disturbing, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's disturbing. It would be disturbing to me as a parent. The realities of the situation is he is a single parent raising a 10-year-old full-time himself, and he wasn't swift enough and engaged enough to see that his son was starting to fool around on the internet in places where he shouldn't.
William Kirkpatrick is accusing his ex-wife, Barry Kirkpatrick, of modifying his phone without permission. Barry claims her actions were to protect their young son from adult content.
Okay. So those things came off the phone.
Mm-hmm. That's disturbing. That is disturbing, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's disturbing. It would be disturbing to me as a parent.
Yeah.
And the reaction should be, as a parent, to call the other parent and say, this is what's going on with the phone. You may not know about it because I don't know quite how to say this to you without sounding harsh. He works and takes care of a 10-year-old full-time. You do nothing. Being a homemaker without children and without a husband, it means you take care of yourself. That's what you're telling me. So if you're trying to juggle taking care of a 10-year-old, trying to have a social life, and trying to work full-time, I assume that you're not paying any child support, Ms. Kirkpatrick. I assume that that's true.
It's true, Your Honor.
Then what you do is you pick up the phone and call the person who's been in charge of your son for 2.5 years and say, listen, this 10-year-old is cursing, This 10-year-old is cursing. It's on the phone. You addressed it, but clearly not enough. And I found these videos, these smutty videos that he's involved with. Do you need a tissue?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
That's what you do. That's what you do as a parent. And you do have to have a certain amount of recognition of what the realities of a situation are. The realities of a situation is he is a single parent raising a 10-year-old full-time himself. And he wasn't swift enough and engaged enough to see that his son was starting to fool around on the internet in places where he shouldn't be. Your response isn't to destroy the phone. Your response should be, I'm taking the phone away, I'm going to give it to you and show you what I've done, not to disable the phone and put on a tracking system. Do you understand, Miss Kirkpatrick? Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. That's my view. And I don't know what's going to happen when you have your hearing next month. But at this point, and at least for the past several years, his father has been in charge of him. And it doesn't appear to me, at least by the fact that he brought him to you when you wanted to see him over Mother's Day weekend, and you wanted to keep him for a week, and you did, that could have had perhaps some selfish intentions too. You wanted a little time off. It's very difficult as a single parent to have a life in addition to raising a child. I do understand that. But you can't disable something that you didn't purchase. How much was the phone?
The phone was, I have receipts here, Your Honor. It came to $117.84.
Yeah, see it, please.
I have the other receipt on there too because I gave my son my phone and I had to get another phone so that you would have a phone.
I just want to know how much the phone was.
It's the first receipt, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. And this was purchased in January.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's it. You're entitled to that. I don't know what else you're suing for here. It looks $1,000. Invasion of privacy, property. She shouldn't have done it, but at least she brought something to your attention so that if you did, in fact, buy him or get him another phone, it's something that you should have in the back of your head, that he's swift enough to get on the internet, even at age 10 or 11, and find places that can cause nothing but trouble. And apparently, based upon what I read, you're not home when you're working. He spends a lot of time by himself.
A few hours a day.
A few hours. Well, in a few hours, a lot of trouble can happen. Right. So be much more cautious. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the phone, $174. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I'm very disappointed.
Well, I'm glad that I got something back.
There's a lot of information that was not brought up that played a big factor.
This has been something that's been going on for years and years.
And it breaks my heart.
She's always doing this, so at least something was done.
You know, when I said homemaker, like, I'm hoping for the day when my son can come back home.
She's been difficult for the last 10 years, so.
Will has been keeping him from me.
He's my everything. Yeah.
I want to have the 50% that I'm entitled to.
I would love for things to be amicable, but I don't see it happening.
I'll keep waiting for my day.
So I'm asking your opinion because I know that the defendant was very upset. I mean, it was apparent to me that he was parenting this child, and she probably feels badly about it. I don't know what kind of situation she hopes to present to the court next month when she has a hearing. But if she's living in a garage with no running water or no plumbing with her boyfriend, that is certainly not a reasonable situation. She is unemployed and he's employed full-time. He probably would prefer being in a place with fewer rules. His father has some rules, but his father wasn't vigilant enough with the phone. I think there's such a good lesson there to be learned. Even for a kid that's 10, you know, they've grown up on the internet. Like you, you have 2 younger siblings. Did you grow up with a phone when you were 2 or 3?
No, I had a flip phone at age 14, 15, maybe.
Maybe. But grow up on the internet?
No, we had the one computer in the computer room in the house that the parents also used, so you never dabbled in anything non-kosher, you could say, on the family computer. Right. And the phone didn't have internet back then, but I know now my younger siblings can be on their phones in their rooms for hours. No one knows, talking to the friends.
Even the little ones. I see them negotiating their little iPads when they're 2. So
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge. We have case number 1025, Jones versus Fields.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Fields, I'm going to start with you in this case. You were planning a wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date was the wedding?
Sunday, May 30th.
Did it take place?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you happy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Both look very happy.
2 months tomorrow.
2 months. Well, keep counting them that way with a smile.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a pretty good wedding day?
Amazing.
Yes,
Great. When you were planning the wedding, according to what I read in the complaint and your answer, you were looking for someone to do the makeup for your wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did a search and you found someone who came recommended, and that was the plaintiff.
Yes.
And on what date did you make an appointment to see her?
Well, actually, before that, Your Honor, I had a phone consultation with her on Friday, April 23rd.
Okay. And you made an appointment to see her?
The first appointment was Sunday, 2 days later, the 25th of April.
Okay. And you went to her place of business? Was it a studio or her home?
A studio.
In the phone conversation that you had with her on the 23rd, did you get a quote for what her services would be in total?
Yes, ma'am. So the verbal quote was was for myself on site and up to 4 bridesmaids. I only needed 3.
And how much was that?
$675. And I do have a copy of that quote.
I'm going to get to that
Yes,
in a minute.
ma'am.
And after you left the studio, where did you go?
To have engagement photos done.
How long did that take?
The engagement photos? Forever. Yes, about 5 or 6 hours we were being photographed at multiple locations.
Okay, so it would be fair to say, Ms. Fields, you had your makeup done on a Sunday, which is not a regular work day.
Yeah.
And you had your makeup done on that Sunday in order to take your engagement photos. There's no equivocation there.
Okay.
When one takes engagement photos, I've been through enough weddings of my children and grandchildren to know that when you take engagement photos, you get your makeup done.
I wasn't planning to. I don't wear makeup typically.
Well, whether you plan to typically, it is too serendipitous that out of 365 days a year,
Yes, ma'am.
that the one day that you had your test makeup, you also had a very long photo shoot for your engagement party at multiple locations.
Yes.
I can't get that through my head that was serendipitous and unplanned by you.
Yes, ma'am, I did. I apologize.
Right. And now I'd like to see from you, Ms. Jones, a copy of the contract.
So here is the proposal and the contract.
And can you give me some idea, Ms. Jones, of how long the makeup application took?
It usually only takes like 45 minutes, but it was during conversation, so it was a little bit longer. It was like an hour and maybe 15 minutes.
Do you remember what time Ms. Fields got there?
No, I don't remember exactly what time. Her
Do you
appointment
remember
was,
what time you got there?
We were supposed to be there, if I'm not mistaken, at noon. And I got there, I texted her and told her I was a few minutes late. She said it was fine. I got there, she was waiting for me.
Were you wearing the clothes you were going to wear at the engagement photos?
No, ma'am.
Then you had to go home to get and change in order to get the engagement photos?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
No, she had the clothes on. She left my studio, went straight to the site.
I
What
have
was she
pictures of
wearing?
My engagement.
So here is the photo that she
I'd like
had
to
on.
see
It was, yeah.
I'd like to see it.
And she also made it her profile picture.
Okay, just a second. Ms. Fields,
Yes, ma'am.
this is your husband.
Yes.
Do you remember what color shirt you were wearing for the engagement photos?
Yes, ma'am. It was. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. It was red.
It was red.
Yes, ma'am.
And your wife was wearing polka dot dress with big red rose?
Yes, ma'am.
So those were the engagement photo. That's what you were wearing. Well, you were wearing that to the studio.
No, ma'am. I left church. I came to her in a black one-piece unit similar to what she's wearing, and that's the picture I sent her from the engagement photos.
Okay, but
That's
this
not
is
what I
not
was wearing.
This is not what she was wearing. She
No.
said when she came to your
That
studio.
is what she was.
No, I have a picture.
Okay, can I see your photo,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. Unfortunately, it's in my phone because I didn't know it would be privy, but this is when I left her studio. That was in her parking lot.
Okay, great. Let me just take a quick look.
No road.
Oh my goodness, those some lashes.
Yeah.
Gotta get some of those.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm reading this initial retainer, and Sarah's viewing the contract because I'm going to look at it in a second. It says that when you left, you were supposed to give her a retainer of $300 if you signed the contract.
Yes.
Did you give it to her?
It was verbally agreed, and I have.
No, that's not
I'm
what
sorry.
I asked.
No, I did not.
Did you give her any money?
Yes.
How much money did you give her?
$30 cash for a tip.
As a tip?
Yes.
So other than the tip, you didn't give her any money?
No, ma'am.
But you did sign the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the contract provide that at the time of signing of the contract, you were supposed to give her the deposit?
No, ma'am.
It just says May 21st was the entire amount was due.
There's no deposit date.
That's correct.
Okay, well, it's a little confusing. It says that the deposit must be paid in advance. Well, advance can be a day in advance or 2 days in advance, but there is, according to the contract, a $300 deposit that's due in advance.
Yes, ma'am.
That's non-refundable.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay her the $300?
No, ma'am.
Now tell me why not.
We had a verbal agreement and later confirmed by her in writing that May 7th was when the deposit would be due.
Okay. Did you ask her, because you confirmed and you signed this contract?
Yes, ma'am.
This is my question. She does your makeup.
Yes.
She shows you the contract.
Yes.
You say that's fine because we've already agreed upon the price.
Yes, ma'am.
She needs a deposit to hold the date.
Yes.
I want you to understand how that usually works.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're going to hold the date, you say, I'm going to sign the contract and give you a deposit. Same day, that's what happens. When you took a wedding venue, that's what usually happens when you take a wedding venue.
Yes, ma'am.
You go, you sign the contract. On the day you sign the contract, you give them the deposit.
Yeah.
I assume that's what you did.
The wedding venue was paid in full the day we visited.
Okay, but it was paid well before.
Yes.
But usually you give someone a deposit,
Yes.
and they hold the date because this is a service business, it's a service venue, it's a service makeup artist. So the 7th of May, the delay in giving her a deposit for sure had to be because you asked for it.
She never gave me a date for the deposit to
Just
do, so I asked if